Hi there, Dr. Gary on the road. Dr. Gary, I am a dentist for 25 years, and now we've had, for the last 11 years, we've had the dental practice brokerage. We sell dental practices. We put the buyer and the seller together and make that deal happen. We now have 8 employees and 2 CPA accountants. So we're growing. We're in 16 states. Actually, it's more than that. It's 18 states, I believe now. 18 states. And I think there's 90 some odd practices for sale. So we get very involved with the practice. We work virtually every day except Christmas and Easter, and we're here to accommodate you. We work with both buyers and sellers, and our job is to expedite and put the deal together and go to the closing table. All the information you hear is for entertainment purposes. This is not business or legal advice. So listen to what happened today. I've known this one doctor for a period of time, had a very nice practice. A couple of years ago, did a major renovation on it, maybe 5-6 years ago, looking real good. And he's wanted to sell in the past, but would always change his mind. Would always get to that point and then change his mind. I understand, maybe just didn't want to retire, whatever, but that's been the routine. But now the story is different. This is the story of the seller when the seller and landlord relationship, and the seller is losing out under this situation. Now, I want to reflect on something else first. Many of these sellers I've met over the years, they seem to get away with it, but they've been on a month-to-month lease. And I always warned them. I said, month-to-month means that landlord could terminate your lease in 30 days. You have to be out. And they always say the same thing. Well, I'm not worried about it. I have good relations with the landlord. I'm always a little cautious when I hear that. So that's just something to be kept in mind. And that's a side note with what I'm about to talk about. But do not let your lease go to a month-to-month. It is so dangerous. You can be kicked out, and it could really lead into some real problems. You will have no lease. You have no place to practice your office, and you're going to have to lease from, sublease from somebody else. Stay away from that. Even though you don't want to get obligated by a lease, at least do something that it rolls over every year. So here's what happens today. I just got this call an hour ago. The doctor calls me up and says, "Oh, I'm interested." And I know this doctor. I said, "Well, why would you want to be buying?" I said, "Well, I'm losing my lease. And I haven't sold my practice. I have to find another place." He says, "I do have an interested buyer, but they can't do anything with my office because the landlord of my office is not renewing my lease, which was terminating next year. It's going to terminate." That was the end of the lease. The doctor didn't want to be obligated to more time in the lease. And the landlord now is saying, "Your lease, when it terminates, ends, I'm taking over the space." Now, you would think that in this pandemic times, landlords are panicking. But this landlord happens to have a brother that's a dentist. And the brother is going to move into the space. The brother's going to take over this gorgeous space that was renovated a few years ago. I'm sure the doctor spent $800,000 to $900,000 on it minimum. And now the landlord's, whatever relative, is taking over the lease. The seller has to leave. His lease terminates, has to get out, and the new dentist will come in. Now he can't really sell his practice that easy. Fortunately, in the immediate area, I have another practice for sale that is large, and he could fit in there. So we're very lucky there. But now you have a whole nother situation. He's going to have to buy that other practice and bring along his supposed buyer he has now. And now he has 2 practices he owns. Moved one in, and it was right across the street, so super close. So I don't know how the buyer's going to look at this or how the buyer's bank is going to look at this. But the other practice is doing over $1 million. This guy's practice is doing over $1 million. So what he's going to have to do is buy that practice, and now he essentially has a $2 million practice. I don't know if the buyer is set up to buy a $2 million practice. He's not just going to give it to him. So we have to come up with some strategy. I'll talk to my accountant, some of the local attorneys I know, just to communicate about this, about the problems that are happening and what can happen with landlords. So you've got to be careful out there. You could be stuck out in the cold with no lease, no building, nothing. Do whatever you can to avoid that, and that's what we have. So stay tuned. We are glad you're listening, and we hope to speak to you soon. We'll keep you posted on what happens with this. Should be some interesting turn of events. Thank you, bye.